Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Tyler Weiskup here from NFM headquarters with Becca Sudbeck, brand and creative general manager.
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Becca. And of course, we've got Hilary Waltemath, visual display general manager with us as well.
Hey.
Hey, Hilary. And today we are thrilled to bring back a guest for another interview. Olivia Harlan Dekker is on the pod, as well as Sam Dekker. We've got an addition here. It's super excited to have both of you on. Of course, Olivia is a professional sportscaster, influencer, much more. Sam, basketball star, amazing get interview-wise. We're so excited to have both of you. And we have a third guest as well. We've got we've got bouncing baby boy Harlen,
Yes.
Wolf, and you guys refer to him as Wolfie. Is that the vernacular? And if we did it would be totally cool, and it's not like awkward.
No, yes.
Okay,
And he's just kind of my shadow. So everywhere I go, he goes. So he's sitting by my feet right now, but you might hear some coos.
Yes.
Love that.
Love it. Excited to bring the whole crew on.
Yeah, the whole family.
Thank you.
But-
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Before we
this
get
is
to
great.
it, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. Learn more at nfm.com. Okay, and so we're on, of course, you already heard them, Olivia Harlan Dekker, Sam Dekker, Harlen, Wolf Dekker. Thank you all for joining us. Let's introduce you to the audience. Olivia Harlan Dekker, like we said, is a sportscaster by trade. In fact, she was the youngest reporter in ESPN history. She co-hosts the sports and sports lifestyle podcast Unleash. In her personal life, Olivia pours her passion into the Children's Cancer Family Foundation, and of course, her basketball star husband, Sam Dekker, and beautiful baby boy, Harlen Wolf Dekker. She's huge into fashion, style, traveling, much more. And we are glad to have, again, this whole crew together for the interview today. But let's jump in, because probably the biggest news since we worked together last is that you are parents. We've already talked about Harlen a lot here. I saw that his first word was mama. I'm just curious if there was like a
Yes.
competition between the two of you. Is that like part of the thing? You're shaking your head, Sam?
Yeah. It's actually very funny because he started saying mama when they were both in London with me about a month ago. And obviously that's important. Anytime your baby says something, it's cool, right?
Yeah.
So now I do this joke where every time we call each other and talk, I just go, Dada, just trying to get him to say something. And he won't mutter it, but she always gets a kick out of it because I won't even be saying anything. I'll just be yelling Dada at him, like, just say it back. So I can be like, yes, I won one. But for as much as she does for him, makes sense that mama was his first word.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
At least it wasn't something insulting like the Bears, right?
Yes.
I mean, clearly a Packers family here. So
Yes. And Chiefs. I know you have
yes,
a
of
Kansas City
course.
footprint
Of
too.
course.
Yes. I've made Sam a bit more of a Chiefs fan, I think.
there you go.
Nice.
She's trying. It's hard for me. I have such Wisconsin roots. It's hard for me to just
Sure.
jump to something new, but
Yeah.
for the sake of the family, I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
For the
Good
sake of
man.
the family.
Good
Perfect.
man.
Way to take one for the team. So obviously you guys are both new parents, and just from my own personal experience, definitely transitioning from that role of, sort of just being obviously like a couple to parents, it can be difficult. How's that going for you guys?
Well, I think the added, obstacle of being overseas and
Yeah.
going back and forth, like Wolfie's 8 months old and he's about to take his 6th transatlantic flight. So
Wow.
Wow.
we've gone back and forth. Sam's been with us for one of them and he was an angel. The baby was. Sam was good too.
Oh,
But I kept saying, I keep doing this flight by myself, and there have been really good flights and there have been not so good flights. And Sam got to see a great showing of this baby on this flight. And
Of course.
but it's fun. I think I was just talking with my parents actually last night at dinner, and my dad, of all people, said, "What would you tell someone who's about to be a new parent?" And I said, that's a good question. I think the first 6 weeks will just be like a life you've never known existed. You're up every 2 hours, day and night. You've never had so much laundry. I said the chapter of the first 6 weeks should just be liquids everywhere. They're just liquids in every capacity everywhere.
It's from all the places.
All the places and all the people. It's not just the baby.
True. It's true.
So it's just, I hope that's not too graphic, but so it's just, you're kind of like, oh my gosh. And I kept saying to Sam, do you remember I said, how do this many people do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, we registered for all the gear. We've got family in town. We've got all this help and it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's opened my eyes to how many people are able to do it under worse circumstances, whether it's single moms, single dads, someone's going back to work. We had him in May. That's both of our off seasons. So we were both at home, not working for about 3 months, and it was still hard. So eye-opening is, I guess, the best way to describe it. But now is like the reward. He's saying mama, he sleeps through the night, he's so sweet and interactive. I just sent Sam a video of him just hugging me for like over a minute. He just wants to always hug and cuddle. And so being a parent is amazing once you get past those first 6 weeks.
Yeah. Shift out of survival mode a little bit.
Yes, it is. It's survive in advance.
But I feel like the no sleep situation just makes everything 1,000 times harder.
Yeah, we did.
Obviously, you're recovering also from and you weren't sleeping great before, but this is like a whole nother level of no sleep that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, I was so confused. One moment, I think we were like our first week home, bringing him home, and it was like we fell asleep at probably like 8 o'clock every night just because we were like, if we can get a couple hours here, we were gonna get a couple hours. And then I remember one time she grabbed me. It was like 11:40 at night, and it was my turn to get up, which we ping pong back and forth, and we both looked at each other, and she just goes, I'm losing my mind. And I was like, yeah, that seems about right. But I thought, we were able to tag team it well, which we're lucky that we both weren't working at the time. And to now where I'm gone and she's over in the States, and then we could, we'll reconnect in a couple weeks for the rest of the year, which would be great. But I think our biggest thing and my biggest advice to first-time parents as a first-time parent, because I don't have any answers, but one of the things that we found works for us is one, just don't freak out at everything, because things happen that you have no idea what's going on. So just look at each other like you're good. Don't let the baby realize you're going crazy, just like you're good. And two,
they can't sense your fear, right?
Yes. After that 6 to 8 to 9 week period, as soon as you can try to get a resemblance of a schedule, that is the biggest thing. It's like getting the whole house on a schedule, boom, 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 stretching those feeding times out and getting towards sleep. That's a huge thing. And we read in this book, and I wish I could remember the name of the book, but one of the big things that still sticks today, as we talk about Wolfie going back and forth on the flights and coming to my games and going into central London with mama on the tube and just doing stuff. And everyone's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. The baby's doing all this and that and seems well behaved. This one thing we read, it was when the baby comes into your life, your son or daughter, they don't run the house. They have to adapt to the family, not the family adapt to the baby. So not always tiptoeing and just the baby has to learn how to be part of this life. And I think that was big for us. And I think that's why his disposition is chill, because he just goes with us and does it. And that'd be one piece of advice I'd have.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that is really
sense. I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but now that you've spelled it out, that does make.
And it probably sounds a little bit more unnurturing or something, oh, the baby's got to adapt to us. But it really is, the baby only knows what you show them and teach them. And so since our life is almost monthly hopping on a flight back and forth over the Atlantic Ocean, then that's what the baby's got to know. And it's really worked for us. And he has such a sweet disposition. And I think it's like Sam was saying about keeping yourself calm the baby will stay calm. And even though there are moments without calm.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense because, I mean, how else are you guys going to be able to manage? This is your livelihoods
Right.
that we're talking about as well. I mean, it
Right.
has to work. You have to be able to do these things. So like it just makes, and for most people are in the same boat as well. It's just kind of a little bit of a different frame of reference. And I think it's a strong
Totally.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was perfect advice. I'm curious about any like unsolicited, maybe less than perfect advice that you might have gotten from other people. Anything good or bad that you can think about?
That's a good sign.
I mean, if no one's giving you baby advice, that's pretty amazing.
Really. I think we're lucky that
Mm.
Olivia's sister has now 3,
Mhm.
2 before Wolfie, and then my brother and his wife have 2. So we had 4 nieces and nephews to kind of like get some good practice in the cool
Yeah.
stuff. Like as the
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
aunt and uncle
The
that
fun
come
stuff.
in with the fun and the smiles and the whatevers. But yeah, I think just watching them parent and see how they do it and react to different things, I think you just kind of learn a little bit more. But I don't think there's anything as good at practicing, I think with anything in life, than just being thrown into it.
Mhm.
And when
Yeah.
they told us to go home from the hospital, I looked at the lady. I was like, "What?" It's like,
You sure?
You're
up
gonna
there,
allow me?
we're going there. We go in the house, and we're like, "Now what?" And that's like
We
the
laughed
truth.
the way we'd like set him on that boppy thing and then
Yeah.
go in the other room and peek around, and we're like, he cannot move, but at the time you don't really know that. You're like, you think he's just going to evaporate in thin air. You're like-
That is such a
Yeah.
strange feeling when they send you home from the hospital and
Yeah.
you're like,
Yes.
I know literally nothing.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
like I
trying
have to keep
this person alive.
exactly. I
Yes.
kept saying that. I said, "So our job's just to keep this alive."
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
"Okay."
harder than you think,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I mean, not really, but like when you just like you start and you're like, wow,
It's
okay,
here.
I guess we're doing this.
yeah. Yeah. Too late.
Oh, well, congrats.
Yeah.
Thank
That's so
you.
exciting.
It's awesome.
And
Thank
Olivia,
you.
we didn't get to talk about this the last time we were together, but you love to sing, and we understand you
Yeah.
sing to baby Wolfie. We saw a video of you singing on the big stage, the national anthem at the Wisconsin-Illinois game in Madison back in 2020. How did this come about?
I've always loved singing. Big choir nerd, musical nerd in high school. And I said to Sam, even when we got married, I said, I want our house to just always have music. And actually, last time I was at NFM in the Kansas City store, they have a whole record player aisle,
Oh, yeah.
turntables, record players. And I said, oh, that's like my goal. I love the sound of a record player. Even you can buy like Beyonce records and it
Yeah.
still just sounds cool. So we have a mix of old and new, and across the years and everywhere we've lived, I've been grabbing records when I find a record store, really old ones where it's like a tattered, box that it comes in, and even if it scratches a bit, I just love it. So that's been a really good addition in our living room now, and the sound just goes everywhere. And these turntables now, and I'm going a bit on a tangent, but since it's at NFM, the one I got, I just absolutely love. The speakers are amazing, and it has Bluetooth capability, so it has all the modern conveniences you're going to want when you are entertaining. But to answer your question, I'm always singing to the baby. And then I just also always want music in the house, whatever it is. If it's Kendrick Lamar or, Etta James, I just want our house to be filled with music. I really want him to play an instrument as he grows up. And I hope he loves to sing like I do. My mom was babysitting him yesterday and said, I swear he was singing. Sam, I didn't even tell you that. She said it was not just babble, it was like singing. Oh, that made me so happy.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
He loves when she
for a
sings.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
For a bit, I really wanted to do that professionally. I was like, like
Okay.
a lot of people, they're like, I want to be an actress. I want to be a singer. So I was definitely had a stage of that where I wanted to be a singer. And then I thought, well, I've got this pretty good person in my house who could teach me a lot about sports broadcasting, my dad. So I might follow that path first. And now I think 3 or 4 times I've sang the national anthem at big sporting events. And that's like the coolest way to kind of marry both worlds. Sometimes it's a game I'm already working. So, I'm there.
Wow.
And then sometimes it's been like before a charity baseball game I've done. And I love singing our national anthem. I have a lot of pride.
Yeah. What was that experience like? I imagine you see a lot of like maybe unsuccessful attempts at that. I imagine the nerves have to be so high.
He gets so nervous.
I get so nervous watching her sing, or even when she commentates. I don't like. I love watching, but I'm like, I know that she gets upset if she doesn't feel like she's like on her A game the same way I'm upset if I'm not on my A game.
Sure.
So like when she's singing the national anthem, I've seen all those horror situations on YouTube, like, where these, poor girl just like drops the mic and she's and that happens. That's life. That's part of human nature. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Liv, like get through it. And she always knocks it out of the park.
Of course.
It's the words. You just can't mess them up. Not to that song. It's like, if you sang any other song, it wouldn't matter. But that one, people would never let you live it down. And so, I always get nervous about the words. And I think I always probably am a little uptight right before. But then once you get started, I just feel so good in that song. It's a song you've been singing forever. You've heard forever.
Life. Yeah.
When Sam was playing for the Raptors, I said, you know what I want to do? Before your game, I want to sing the national anthem and the Canadian national anthem. That's a great national anthem. Okay.
Yeah.
And then now, of course, we're in London, and then they have a great national anthem too. God Save the King. So maybe I'll add international anthems to my repertoire.
Yeah.
I think that you've got an album opportunity here.
I always tell her I'm always pushing her to do more with her music. I think it's she has a unique sound. She's so good. And she's a performer. She's not afraid to perform. We'll be at a dinner in New York City, and a guy will be playing piano, and I'll be like, "Where'd Liv go?" And all of a sudden, she's like next to the piano player, like, "I'm gonna sing the song for my husband," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" It's like, I'm like Olivia, and she just loves an open mic, and I guess that's what
I do.
She was meant to do what she does.
Good for you.
Yeah,
I mean, you.
That's very embarrassing.
I love it.
Such a cool skill. I'm going to change gears a little bit. Since we've been talking a little sports, I want to jump into this a little bit. Obviously, we're in the midst of the NFL playoffs. Last year around this time, Olivia, you became the first father-daughter duo to call an NFL playoff game on national broadcast. And of course, you and your dad were, already the first father-daughter duo to call a regular season NFL game. Did it feel different to do it on the playoff stage, or was it just like, this is old hat now? Like we've been working together for 20 years. Like we got this whole thing down. That's apparently that's my interpretation of you.
Wow.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
I sound very gruff.
I don't know how that happened.
No, so our first NFL game we worked together, like you said, regular season. It was 2018. And it was also my first NFL game regular season in general at the network level. So for me, there were the nerves of that. I, at the time, was doing college football for ESPN. So I was doing a big national game every Saturday. But NFL, people probably don't realize this, different timing, different rules, different protocol for what you can do with players and coaches. Like in college, you cannot approach a player on the field before the game. In the NFL, you totally can. That being said, you don't have as much access during the week because, these are grown men with families and making millions of dollars. It's just such a different sport to cover.
Sure.
It's the same sport, but it's not.
Right.
So in general, I was just kind of anxious about the protocol, the schedule. I have my college football schedule down pat. I go on the field 2 hours before. I'm going to talk with these two coaches, this equipment guy. I've got my routine. NFL, it's all different. So I was nervous about that. And then I had a great game. Packers won. Of course, we're big Packer fans. And doing it with my dad, there was a lot of media throughout the week. Like we did Good Morning America. We did all this stuff the week of the game because it was breaking history. It was really exciting. And then after that, then it was just a game. It was just work. Playoffs were a couple of years later, cameo appearance. And that felt the same, just a more important game, but in the NFL, every game feels huge because the NFL is just the biggest sport in the country. The ratings every year just go up.
Yeah.
Like if you look at ratings for NFL games compared to March Madness games, what were we going to say? Oh, are you waving to Wolfie?
No, I'm saying it compared to my sport, even like
Yeah.
for some reason, NBA's revenue keeps going up, but the viewership on TV is going down. And
Yeah.
it's the opposite for the NFL. Viewership just keeps climbing and climbing and
Yeah.
climbing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, and then to do it then again this year was just, I mean, now we're just so used to it. My goal now, and I'm manifesting this and I'm putting this out into the ether, that I want to be the first father-daughter to call a Super Bowl together. So, and my dad does call the Super Bowl and is the longest reigning announcer to call consecutive Super Bowls. So I feel like if I can sneak my way into there in a couple of years, then that'll be the goal.
Yeah. I would love
We're
to
in your
hear. I
Yes,
think all of
yes,
us.
we're all for that.
Yep. 100%.
Well, thank you.
100%. Okay, so looking at the sports scene today, I don't know. We're looking at the conference championships and then the Super Bowl soon after, and you've been covering the playoffs. Does like a single moment stand out this year for you?
Oh, it's got to be my game last week. I had the Chiefs, Jacksonville at Kansas City, and it was when Patrick Mahomes got hurt.
Yep.
And I'm standing right on the sideline, right by where he comes over with his to his part of the bench, and he's being swarmed with athletic trainers, of course. And then immediately they kind of dissipate after they tape his ankle up. And Arrowhead, which is the loudest stadium in the NFL, is quiet. And it's eerie and it's misting. It's kind of rain mist. The lights are on. It's dark. And in my head, if I'm being totally honest, I thought he's not going back out and Jacksonville's going to win this game. Like they're going to be the biggest Cinderella in the AFC Championship. This is going to be nuts. We're going to be talking about this for years.
Mhm.
And Patrick Mahomes is standing there, and now some players, some teammates are coming up, but his offensive coordinator, his quarterback coach, and his head coach, Andy Reid, all come up to him, and it looked like an intervention. They all were saying, Patrick, you've got to go get this looked at to get an x-ray at halftime. And he kept saying, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And they were not having it. And they did. He had his helmet on. He was trying to run back on the field. And I'll just never forget this moment, because then they ultimately say, we're not letting you back out there. The backup Chad Henne's going to go out, and you're going in the locker room just to get an x-ray. And he throws off his helmet and he throws off his cape and he yells. And I think, the closest person to him, just by happenstance. And so I'm standing right there and I'm like hitting my producer on my microphone. I say, hey, come down to me. Come down to me. Because you have to like pitch it for then your producer to open up your mic. And he does. And I just say, Patrick Mahomes is going in the locker room and Chad Henne is warming up for the Kansas City Chiefs next drive. And I kind of can't believe where we're at. And it's those moments where the sideline reporter becomes really important, because otherwise the booth doesn't have access to that information. So that moment will always stand out for me. And then when he comes out of the tunnel, he immediately puts back on one of those capes and his helmet so the crowd doesn't see him come out. And I say to my producer, come down to me, come down to me. And he opens up my mic and I say, Patrick Mahomes is out of the tunnel. His helmet is on and this crowd doesn't know he's out here. Arrowhead is about to go nuts, and something like that. And it did. It was incredible. So just in a moment like that, to feel right in the action, literally like spit could hit my face from the loud discussions happening. And I love it. That's when I really love sideline reporting. And I'm so glad I still am able to do a couple games a year, even though I have shifted more to hosting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I just get chills the way that you were describing.
I know. Me too.
I
I know.
So visceral.
A bit dramatic, but
I
the
think that's
sport
really
is dramatic.
It is
And like, I mean, you have like
Yeah.
the perspective that nobody else, I feel like, you know, it was reported something similar, but the way you describe it is obviously much more intimate and real than even anybody else got to witness.
Yes. Oh, it was so exciting. It was a cool moment. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Are you covering any of the rest of the games? What else do you have?
I'm doing a
Scheduled.
live stream this weekend for the AFC Championship. I'm going down to Dallas and hosting a big corporate speaking event this weekend with Deion Sanders.
Okay.
2-time Super Bowl champ, prime
Yeah.
time, now the head coach at Colorado.
It's
Yeah.
That's Coach Prime to you.
Coach
Come on.
Prime.
Come on.
Sorry. I don't know. I haven't met him yet. I don't know, but he'll tell me to call him. So that'll be very fun. And then I'm getting on a flight coming back to Kansas City. Gonna kiss my baby real quick and then jump back on here. And we're doing a live YouTube stream that night for the AFC Championship. which is going to be fun. It'll be like the Manning cast. So very
Okay.
laid back.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Those are
Streaming
really
on
fun.
YouTube. So fun.
Yeah.
And we have a couple surprise guests.
Nice.
We're hosting it for BetMGM, and it'll be a very different way to watch a game. So I'm excited to try that for the first time.
Incredible.
So I have to ask who's going to win it all this year? Both of you guys. Do you have an opinion?
I do. I think with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, you can do anything. I think the Kansas City faithful would love to hear that. If that's not the case, I love San Francisco. I think they have the most complete team. I know it's a rookie quarterback, but they have 5 to 6, Pro Bowlers on offense and defense, caliber players. Just the depth of their roster and their weapons, it's just such an advantage. And then, not to mention, Shanahan, the way he has those guys playing offensively, it's a well-oiled machine right now. It doesn't matter who they throw in there. So I think the Niners are my, head on the table. I think 49ers would be my pick.
Okay.
49ers are my pick too. And I hate to say it, I like Cincinnati to beat Kansas City this weekend.
Okay.
What? Gasp.
I know. I obviously I want the Chiefs to win. I want the Chiefs to go all the way, but I think Patrick is more injured than everyone else does.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about it. And Sam, as an athlete, he said to me too, he said, everyone keeps saying, oh, it's a high ankle sprain, as if that's a better kind of ankle sprain.
I mean, I think it's still right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, everyone loves to diagnose, what's the ankle sprain? Is it a low ankle sprain, high ankle sprain? High ankle sprain, you deal with this, you deal with the leg, you deal with the muscles. And it's like an ankle sprain's an ankle sprain. Like if you really do that thing bad, no matter what sport you're playing, it is one of the most debilitating injuries. There's not much you can do when you rupture those tendons. You're basically just stretching out everything that's holding your foot and your ankle together in place, right? So if you're going out there, you can hobble around, but everyone says, oh, you can take this, you can take that, you can tape it up. But it's just when it's bad, and you shouldn't be on it. I know Pat's going to play because he's a gamer. He's tough. It's the playoffs, but that's going to limit some of the things they do because I think it is a very severe ankle sprain. So, but he is kind of Superman. We've seen the things he can do.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone that can play well with a bum wheel or a flat tire, like I like to say, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. I think you guys bring up some good points. I think you're both wrong, but I mean, I think that's more hoping than anything. Yeah,
I hope we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Theirs might be more fact-based.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going straight from not knowing anything, and just that's probably not the way to go. But if I argue with a sportscaster and an athlete, I mean, why not? Okay, I'm gonna jump forward a little bit here, and Olivia, I wonder if you can talk to me about the NFL Films Presents documentary on your dad. I like sports, but I love sports documentaries. I think it's like one of the coolest, just the storytelling involved with a sports documentary, and you and your dad and your family story is just an awesome one. Was there a premiere for this event? What was that like? And what did it mean for you and your family to see yourselves on the big screen in that way and getting to tell kind of the story?
Gosh, I wish there was a premiere. My whole family would have showed up, and that could have been fun. No, they filmed it, and I'm looking right now at this picture on so it was on my dad and grandpa. That was the day we filmed it. Little glare. And this was at my dad's high school in Green Bay, Promontory High School, which is now Notre Dame Academy. And it's where my dad started announcing as a high schooler for his football team, his school's team. And we go up in the little, I'd never been there. And we go up in the little press box, and my dad got misty-eyed. He's accomplished the highest feats in his career and has won National Sportscaster of the Year multiple times. He has surpassed, I think, even his own goals, which is really amazing to watch someone you love do that. And for him to go back to where it all started was emotional for him. And he felt just, I think, the gravity of what he had accomplished. And then he's there with his dad, who has, he was the president of the Green Bay Packers for 20 years. and I think should be going in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because he saved the Green Bay Packers, kept him in Green Bay. That's a whole story, but NFL Films told it so beautifully of how his impact inspired my dad's career. Different avenue in the business, but still covering the NFL. My dad does NBA and college basketball as well. But the ties there, and then how it went even a third generation onto me. And I think the common thread being that we all love the NFL, that we all find the history and the pageantry and the weight of the league so exciting to be a part of. So of course, NFL Films telling that story was an obvious win. So we had a lot of fun. And, you know, I'm one of 4 kids, and I know my other 3 siblings are like, it's always about Olivia and Dad. You know, we're always doing these events together. We're always doing these interviews together. But I'm so close with my dad, as all 4 of us are in different ways. And for me to follow in his footsteps and then to be able to work games with him and to ask him questions, what should I do here? I mean, it's just the coolest thing for me.
Love this. Well, speaking of baby Wolfie here, and the last couple of years obviously have been a pretty big whirlwind, I think, with life events for your family. I mean, obviously, Sam, you know, playing basketball in Turkey, and then Toronto, and Turkey again, and then London, and obviously aforementioned Wolfie coming into your lives. It's been kind of a lot. I wonder. Obviously, I think that the travel has been super great for your guys's social media, like the TikTok,
Oh,
videos,
yeah.
like all that stuff is like amazing. But I wonder if you can kind of talk about what it's been like to bounce back and forth, and how it's impacted the last couple of years of your lives.
It's been, honestly, there's been like a lot of highs and a lot of lows, right? There's been situations where we've been very uncomfortable with no answers on what's coming next, where are we going, what's the next day have in store for us, situations. And that's not easy individually, but it's also not easy for relationships, for your family, for you know, our now son. It's like you want these answers at the end of each day, and when you don't get them, sometimes it's tough. We've had to move. Going back to 2016, we've moved
Every
8,
year?
9 times, every year.
Sometimes
And
twice.
trying to set up shop. We've been traded mid-season. You know, it's just like it's. There's been times where I've kind of broken down to Olivia, you know, randomly, just been like when does it stop? Like when do we just get like I can see all these people having, you know, and I love my job. We're so blessed for the things we've been able to see. But there have been times where it's been like enough. Like let me just like be in one place for a little bit of time. But when you look at it from a different lens, you get to appreciate the things that it's allowed you to see, the people you've been able to meet. I think it's rounded individually me out as a man, and I think with our relationship, it's rounded us out in a way that we would have never been able to get. Being able to communicate better, being able to enjoy our time with. If we have an hour together, we're going to put in like as much us time in an hour that we can, and cherishing like each phone call, each FaceTime, like little things like that, like really grow you guys together, and that helps. So to be able to be across the world from each other, and then in a different country together, just one-on-one, like you learn how to get through it, and it's really helped us, and it's helped me individually in my sport, and not getting too high or too low. But it's been tough at times, and like right now, being apart from them, it's hard. It's not easy on her. She's home with a baby, trying to do all this stuff, and but it's just things you have to do. And we're still young. We're still following our dreams, and we're passionate about what we do. So this is the life we've led, and you have to make the most of it. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that answer. I feel like it's almost like the extra work that you're putting into it, like you were saying, is just it makes everything almost better because of like the effort that's going in. It's like I feel that for that's what I'm kind of vibing with that answer that you just had there, and I don't know, it makes it special. And obviously, when you look back on this time, you're gonna feel all those highs probably as high, and I'm sure the lows will just wash away. Like,
yeah, no. At the end of the day, you don't remember the things that didn't feel good, right? When I'm done playing, or when she's done broadcasting, she's gonna look back on her moments that she felt the most proud of what she was doing, and I'm gonna look back on the big wins my teams had, and the laughs in the locker rooms, and the funny, like those are the things you remember. You don't remember, oh man, remember that bad shooting night I had? You remember that bad road trip we had, where you remember the good things. So the good outweighs the bad, and that's kind of what you have to always go to sleep at night thinking about.
Beautiful. Well, speaking of your guys's beautiful love story, I don't think we got into this last time that we talked, Olivia. How did you and Sam meet?
So I was living in Atlanta, working for the Atlanta Hawks as an NBA sideline reporter. I was in my 3rd year with them, and Sam was in his 2nd year playing for the Houston Rockets. So I like to say I beat him to the NBA by a year. And so I'm like, oh, I'll tell you how it's done. No, and he was in his 2nd year, but it was kind of like his rookie year, because his 1st year he had back surgery and was out his whole rookie year. So we met right before his really first true NBA season. Horrible time to meet your future spouse, is like the moment you've been waiting for your whole life is about to start. And in both ways, I guess. And living long distance, which again, I guess kind of prepped us for what our life would look like down the line. And I was in Houston for work, and the Packers were playing that day, and we were both big Packer fans. And he said, do you want to go watch the game? And, that was going to be our first date after we had talked for a little bit. And I thought, oh my God, we're actually going to meet in person. And of course I thought, well, that's a pretty harmless event. That's, we're just going to go to a very low key bar in a strip mall in Houston. It was a Packer bar. It was about the cutest place you've ever seen, in the weirdest location. And we go in, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. He's perfect. After I had sworn off I would never date or marry for sure an athlete. And my dad, all growing up, had said, don't talk to athletes. They're all liars and cheats. They're horrible people. Don't date them. Try to scare the life into my sisters and me. And I remember I said to my sister, I'm in Houston for this work thing, and I'm going to go on a date with this guy, but don't tell mom and dad. But if you don't hear from me tomorrow, I'm dead in a ditch somewhere. Like, just so you know, because no one knows I'm going on this date. And so it's funny. So she's the only one who knew. And I said, he's an athlete. Just don't tell mom and dad. And then I called her the next day, and I said, he's amazing. He's so different. He's not like everyone else.
Oh,
that's your dad. I'm talking about your dad.
Oh, he's smiling. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, the rest was history. We were engaged 8 months after that first date.
Wow.
And we got married really young. It's funny. Now we've been married 5 years this summer, and we're not even 30 yet. So we got married 24 and 25. And at the time, I felt like we had all the answers in the world. I did not feel young. You were 24.
23.
No, your birthday's May. You're
right.
24.
24.
And yeah, if someone had told me on that first date what was in store for us in terms of all the, if you told me we'd live in Russia and Istanbul and
Right.
I mean, I would never have believed you. And it's funny, you never know what you would sign up for, but I'd sign up for all this all over again. This first 5 years has been very eventful. I have no idea what the next 5 will hold, because this has been a lot.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Like what a full life we've led together.
Yeah.
Well, cool, really cool. I can't wait any longer, though. Tell us about what you've been up to in your place in Kansas City. I feel like you've got so many projects I've seen, just like on a quick purview of the Instas. And I'm just curious, can you kind of walk us through what you've been working on?
Well, his nursery was a big project for me, ironically, because we're not here very much. But I tell you what, to have that place, to have brought him home from the hospital too. We were here like a month after he was born. And I had wallpapered. I got all of our furniture at NFM. We did a whole project with the store, and
That was great.
I mean, his nursery is darling.
Yeah.
It is so
Yeah.
cute. And when I'm home, even just for a couple weeks, I love taking him there. And that's his little room and his space. And I
You
love
guys
it.
hang
But
out. It's awesome.
yes. So that's great. That was a big project this summer, getting ready for his arrival. And then just this week, I went to the store and they have a huge rug selection. And we've lived in our house 3 years and I've never known what rug to put in.
Yeah.
And I finally was like, okay, enough. I'm just going to bring in the professionals and have them help me pick it out. And just
Mhm.
last night, I rolled out a rug. I can't believe we've lived here 3 years without a rug.
Nice.
And it looks amazing. I'll be posting those pictures on my story today once I can get this guy down for a nap. And
And it's cool. You
then-
guys have a little app. You guys took. You can take
the
a
room
picture
visualizer.
of
Do
your
you use
room.
that? Isn't that
Amazing.
amazing?
And she took 3 different screenshots, sent them to me. Which one do you like? I said,
Yeah.
not that one. Do you like this one? Yeah, that's okay. Do you like this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's
And like
slick.
you can, it's cool that you can like fit it into the scheme of your room,
Yeah.
digitally, and that's a pretty cool thing. And then while we were gone, we've been getting updates over and over about our bathroom project that we had going, and it's actually a funny story about that. Our first day home, or kind of our first 24 hours home from the hospital with Wolfie,
Yeah.
is we were like, come on over. Like, come
my gosh.
do the walk
For the meeting with the
You must have
contractor.
agreed to
Yeah.
that before you knew what actually your
No,
life was
she
gonna be
knew.
like.
She knew. She was like,
I'm crazy.
yeah. She's like, we could have the baby, and like they could be here, and then the next day she's like, okay, like they're actually gonna come here. And I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah, it'll be good. And they came in and measured out. Olivia's in the bathroom already. Like, let's do this. I'm like, this woman
The baby's
is wild.
3 days old, and we have a contractor and a designer in the house. But as you guys know, here it is January, and we're just finishing it up. And this was
Yeah.
May, so
Yeah,
these
you
projects
probably
take a
started
while.
when you did. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I was on it.
Yeah.
Impressive.
But the bathroom's been looking awesome. We got to, before
Yeah.
I left, I got to go with them to the showroom and NFM. They have all the slabs and
Yeah.
different grout stuff, and like we're able to piece by piece like put together, okay, this is kind of a vision board type thing. And then I said, Olivia, I handed it off, and you got the rest. And she obviously knocked it out of the park, as she always does. So all the pictures she sends me, I've been like super pumped.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got great style. And I think the last time we were together, you described your style as modern Mediterranean, which we love. What about that necessarily appeals to you? Or do you think your style has evolved a little bit even since then? Would you still describe it that way?
Gosh, I don't know. I think I take influence from where we've lived and where we've been. So we spent 2 years in Turkey, and we loved Turkey. And obviously Turkish rugs are the most kind of famous export there in the design world. And so we got a couple Turkish rugs, Turkish pillowcases. So we do have this strong kind of Oriental look around the house that's part tribal, part Oriental. Ottoman is like, obviously the word Ottoman coming from the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. And I love that influence in random spots throughout our house. And pillowcases, I find, here's a little design advice. I find that to be a really easy way to commit to a style if you're wanting to experiment a bit. So I didn't want to buy a very expensive, huge, I was obviously gun shy with a rug. I didn't want to buy a huge living room rug when we were in Turkey because I didn't know if I wanted to commit to that.
Right.
Right.
Whereas just doing a couple pillowcases has been fun to move around the different rooms of the house. So modern Mediterranean, is that still our look? I don't know. I think our house is a bit mid-century modern.
Okay.
Yes.
And then,
with pops of stuff. So like
yes,
we like neutrals, whites, blacks, natural wood, but then it's fun being like, oh, here's a pillowcase with from in Cappadocia, Turkey. Olivia got this fabric and reupholstered some of our pillows, and it's like you walk in the room and like it catches your eye.
Yeah.
I don't like everything just being beige.
Yeah.
Yep.
As you can kind of see if you go on Instagram now, that we're kind of getting out of that. People are now back into how can you get stuff to catch your eye, little things like that. And I think it's fun. Like for me as a guy, I didn't know much about like interior design or didn't like care
Well,
about.
give yourself some credit.
No, I'm trying. I think I didn't know what I liked.
I've seen you watching a lot of Arc Digest YouTube videos.
Yeah.
There we go.
I didn't know that it could be fun.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. I thought it was just like, oh, you just paint or oh, you just whatever.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then like I realized that I actually had opinions on things, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, I don't like that. And she's like, why? I was like, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And like now I realize
You don't have
why.
to know why.
Yeah. Now I realize why I like things, and I'm like, no, I want to take some chances. I want to do something a little different, and I think that's the biggest thing. I don't want to just be a copy and paste from someone else's place. And it's like, what makes it ours? And I think that's something that we've taken pride in, and it's been really fun to do.
Yeah, and I think that's certain what you've shared reflects in your home and just validated a conversation the three of us had earlier, that your home is like, it doesn't have to like fit within a box, style. It's a reflection of you and your life and your experiences, and especially with the two of you and all the travels you've made. Like those are things you're going to be able to like hang on to and like take you back to a really memorable time. So I think,
for sure.
I think y'all have got it figured out.
And
I was just thinking.
Yeah.
When I was in our living room before this conversation, I was kind of looking around, and now that I've got this rug, it looks really finished. But I was like, what is one of my favorite things in this room? And one of my favorite things, I mean, there's stuff you can't buy in stores, and it's these coasters, these leather coasters we have. That's from my great uncle's cattle ranch, and it's their cattle brand on the leather coasters, and it's just so cool, and stuff like that. And I feel like if people are in their first home, go to your grandparents, go to your great aunts, your great uncles, go a generation past and say, do you have anything that is meaningful to you that you'd want someone to hold on to and to be meaningful to us in our new home? And almost go from there with your design, whether it is maybe kind of a funky lamp, or it's a wedding gift from your grandparents' wedding of something. And you kind of go from there. Another thing, we collect those blue and white Royal Copenhagen plates. That are kind of really traditional. I love them. And something that my mom's been collecting her whole married life, and Sam's grandpa and grandma, we found out, also were in different parts of the country doing the same thing. And now we've got this huge collection. So I really find heritage pieces to be a great starting point. If you and your significant other are moving in that first home, start asking some of your older relatives, what's something important to you that you'd want us to have in our home?
Yeah.
It's such a smart place to start too, because I mean, if we're talking about making our home an expression of our story, I mean, what better place to start than our families? I mean, I think that's a beautiful thought. And I mean, it's a great leg up, especially if you're looking at a blank canvas. So
yes.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, I've got one last question for you here.
Okay.
In April of last year, Olivia, you emceed the Gold Ribbon Gala for the Children's Cancer Family Foundation in Northeast Wisconsin. And this, I believe it was the 5th year that you hosted. You were 35 weeks pregnant at the time, had to jump on a plane to get there, but you made it. And I don't know that we got into this topic too much last time. What's your connection to the cause? And I mean, because it seems like you're bending over backwards to kind of make this work.
Yes. And on the board of directors, and have hosted all these times. Sam's hosted with me before when he's been in the States. And then we did it virtually for 2 years during COVID, which was horrible from a fundraising perspective, when so much of it is and it's a live auction, and when you're sitting at home in your sweatpants, you're not as inclined to donate. A lot of those donations come from getting kind of swept up in the activity, which is amazing because it's for such a great cause. And so obviously we have so much more success when we're in person. But every year we've hit $100,000 in this one night, and it's a lot. So we raise money for children battling cancer and their families in Northeast Wisconsin. And the auction is always successful. And Sam and I are able to use any of our connections in the sports world to get things donated, whether it's jerseys, tickets, all this type of stuff. So it's very cool to be able to ask a couple favors and see the result of that can really raise so much money. And what makes our organization a bit different is that we, the money that the families who get grants, they can use it towards anything. The car trips for these hospitals, these chemo trips, they can put it towards hotels, they can even put it towards another family member in the family, like one of their healthy children, so that they can go to that soccer camp, and life doesn't have to stop because one sibling has cancer.
And that's a special thing. Yeah, that's a special thing about CCFF is like she said, a lot of these organizations do, hey, whatever money that you can go ahead and mute, whatever money that we get or get granted has to go towards healthcare expenses. And that's where, our families, it does. There's other things that get in the way. Obviously pediatric cancer is so tough, but like you said, food and school and all that stuff adds up for these families. So it's been really, really fulfilling. I got a chance to work with them, I think starting in 2013. And when I met Olivia, she was like, how do I get involved? Like, I didn't even come to her like, hey, whatever. She was like, no, I want to, how can we take next steps with this? And she's been a rock star with it. Like you said, doing it pregnant and like calling people after appointments. And it's like one thing after another, she, just nonstop. And we have a couple events every year that we do. And if I could wrap with saying one thing, like on my end is like, for me, I've played a lot of big games and a lot of like cool moments. Olivia has called a lot of cool games and have moments that she can look back and be proud of. But like nothing is truly actually more fulfilling than seeing like these kids come back year after year, taller, stronger, now in high school, some of them, and to see their families react to the community helping them out. And now these families kind of form a bond. Like that's what it's all about. And that's pretty cool to us to be able to like come back each year and be like, yeah, let's keep doing this. Let's keep, building this community up. And there's nothing better than that. And I think that, as part of the human experience is doing fulfilling things like that.
I don't think there's a better sentiment to end on. Oh, so beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Olivia and Sam and Wolfie, for joining us, being so flexible, kind of.
He was quite talkative.
I think it's totally fine. We talked about it in the beginning.
Yeah.
People understand. This is a family podcast. Come on.
Yeah.
Babies are encouraged.
And mom is at home, like grinding alone. I'm sorry. I'm across the water right now. Like things happen. So I appreciate you guys understanding.
Yes, thank you.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there any place that you want to point people, your social channels, or anything that you've got going that you want to highlight?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's both of our names. I'm at Olivia Harlan Dekker, but my other Instagram is where I do much more of the home design fun stuff. And that's at Live Everywhere. Wolfie, what's your Instagram?
Everywhere. Yeah. That's where
he
she
doesn't
does
have one, and I hope he never has one.
Fair point.
Yeah.
She has two, so he doesn't have to have one.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
I walk so he can run.
Well, great. Well, thanks again. And I want to thank everyone who's listening at home and encourage you to go to nfm.com to learn more about our company and shop 24/7 for today's top furnishing styles. We'll be back again soon with another episode. But till then, remember, home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Woltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.